start. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to Creative Mornings Dubai after a nice little break. That's okay. I don't need it. How many of you have been to a Creative Mornings before? Okay, so a newcomer. That's amazing. Okay, awesome. So we're the world's largest face-to-face creative community, and we take place in, so we take place in 255 different countries, and every dot on this map represents a city that we're in. So that's a lot of different dots. And all our chapters are run by volunteers, which is amazing. So it's a very raw and beautiful community that doesn't have agendas. We'd really like to thank our global sponsor, Adobe. So I'm just gonna stand here so you can see the screen. And our local sponsor, Atelier, for providing such a beautiful space. Thank you. It's hard to create and cultivate a community that is very pure and raw. So I'm really grateful for all the sponsors to be able to do that. We're also looking for more volunteers. So if anyone wants to actually contribute a little more to the team, let me know after the session. So this month's theme is called Kursu, and this was chosen by our Tehran chapter, and I think it's particularly important at this time because Kursu means a faint glimmer of hope. And with what's going on in Tehran and honestly in the world, this is a really, really important topic to actually bring to light. And our speaker, Raghdan, is going to unpack this over the next 45 minutes. He's a meditation mentor, energy healing practitioner, and experienced designer, creating immersive wellness experiences. So, over to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here this morning. As Gaurav mentioned, my name is Raghdan, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's actually an honor. Very excited that this is my first Creative Mornings chat. As he had mentioned, I'm originally an architect and creative director, but over the past 10 years I've been studying energy healing, meditation, and I've been kind of merging experience design and what I've learned over my career and bringing it into the realms of spirituality and wellness. And this expands into psycho-spiritual journeys that I'll talk more about, as well as different creative wellness experiences. And today's topic, which is Kursu, is, as he mentioned, very timely. And I just wanted to dive a bit deeper as to what Kursu is, and especially how we're going to reflect on it collectively today. Because throughout the experience, we're going to be tapping into moments of stillness, where we're going to reflect inwards on our relationship with Kursu, or in this case, you can think about it as hope. Essentially, as he had mentioned, Kursu translates, and it's not a very common Persian or Farsi word actually. When I spoke to a lot of my Iranian friends, they're like, oh, I don't know this word. And so the word actually dates back a lot further, so to the times of Rumi. So it's not a very common modern word that is being used, but essentially it means a faint glimmer of hope. And the relationship that we're going to have with this word today is related to how we can transmute our darkness into light, and how we can build a better relationship with hope by having the awareness over the dark times in our lives, such as something that we're going through now collectively, and how we can raise it to a higher frequency or a higher light. So it's going to be broken down into 3 essential chapters, starting with my journey, my personal journey with hope, moving into higher hope in practice, where we will actually learn specific forms and practices around energetics, self-inquiry, and kind of tips and tricks on around meditation to support you on your own journey with hope. And then diving in, it felt really timely to do a sort of meditation, a prayer meditation, specifically for Iran, with everything that's going on right now. Obviously, it's a huge revolution that has been almost like decades in the making. And so we're going to do a meditation for that, and then also tap into a bit of stillness for your morning sessions. So my journey with Kursu, or my journey with hope, started from a very, very young age. Before, I didn't really know or how it went by its name, but essentially when I started studying the topic of Kursu, I really wanted to reflect on it from a more poetic and like literature perspective, because for me, storytelling and literature is something that has been a very powerful portal or gateway for me to express myself. And I came across this quote by Rumi, and it says, "Where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure." And I really connected with this quote because it speaks to the power of resiliency and how we need to be resilient in our own journey with everything going on. Even especially in a city like this that is so fast-paced, and people who have, I've grown up here. I was born in Syria but grown up here, and a lot of people in the Middle East and everything that's going on in our countries, we do have to have a sense of resiliency on a personal level and on a collective level. So really what I wanted to reflect while I was actually diving into this quote is, how have we felt ruined and how have we rebuilt ourselves? And I realized like I have felt ruined in many areas of my life and in many times. Ruined especially by what's happening in our world, in Syria, in Palestine, in Lebanon, in all of our countries, even parts of the greater world, Sudan right now, Congo, all these different countries. I have really felt ruined by what's happening and almost helpless. And then on the more personal level, just like all of us here, I have felt ruined by my thoughts, my feelings, my sadness, and especially my shame. If you are Arab or you've lived here long enough, you know that us Arabs have a very unique relationship with shame, or what we like to call is aib. It's very embedded in our culture and the way that we connect with ourselves, the way that we connect with each other, forgive me. So I've been ruined by things that have happened to me and things that haven't happened to me, ruined by things that I wish would have happened but haven't happened, and ruined by things that may never happen if only my mind wouldn't ruin me. And our mind has a very powerful way of creating narratives and building stories about things that may ruin us, that don't potentially happen in truth. And so while I was exploring this topic, I actually decided to dive into my ruins and tried to, sort of in a very kind of design thinking perspective, break down the pillars or the foundations of my ruins, and how there are different parts of me that I have explored and transmuted into light. And really what I've broken it down to is silent shame. As we had mentioned, in the Arab world, shame is a energy and a frequency that is really embedded in our culture, in our language. Growing up, if anyone here is Arab, you hear a lot of like, there's this word aib that is very present, and everything goes like, oh no, don't do that, that's shameful. Oh no, don't do that, that's shameful. For the Arabs that I see nodding, I can see that you connect. So silent shame has been a present energetic presence, or like a vibration, and it really, shame is such a low vibrating emotion, and I'm focusing on low vibrating because later we're going to dive into the different vibrations of specific frequencies or emotions or feelings that we have. But shame lives in the sacral chakra, which is also our sexual energy. It's where we can create from. It's our ability to produce, obviously, life. And so when you experience a lot of shame in your life, your relationship with creation, with creating, with both in terms of art, design, etc., but also in co-creating with someone else, is really broken down. And it's a very kind of demotivating energy. It really sets you in. Another emotion that I had struggled with is low self-worth, which is very much tied to shame. you hear it a lot in the wellness community. It's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm enough. And what tends to happen is that because we don't feel like we're enough, because we always feel like we need to perform for love, we need to prove ourselves with our relationship with our family, our communities, their life sort of becomes this performance where you're trying to outdo yourself and trying to do more so that you can sort of belong or be accepted or be loved. And then I was born in Syria, and then at the very age of 2, I kind of directly traveled here to the UAE. My religion is, I'm Druze, if anyone knows what that is. Anyone knows what Druze is? Okay, good job, Gaurav. Thanks, Gaurav. So Druze is technically, at one point, a very secretive religion. And on paper, it's under the sect of Islam, because Islam actually on paper has 74 sects. People don't really know this, but it's on paper, it's under the sect of Islam. But in reality, if we were to go back centuries before, after the Islamic religion came out, the Druze religion came, and before we were known as Druze, we were known as Muwahhidun, which means uniters. And we were trying to unite the Abrahamic religions. And so when you come here and you're asked in school, like, oh, and it was a prominent thing, like, what religion are you from? Because for some reason in this culture, especially growing up in school, there was always like, oh, are you Christian, are you Muslim? Like, there was that discussion. It's a bit silly, but every time I would say, oh no, I'm Druze, people would not know what that is. I wouldn't know where to belong. But then there was a lot of falsehood about, like, these people pray to specific statues, and there's a lot of misconceptions about Druze. So I came to this country, and I was Syrian, but I had never lived in Syria. I was Druze, but I had to sort of at some points lie and say that I'm Muslim just to be accepted. And there was a lot of like, oh, who am I? Like, where do I belong to? Like, I'm so unaware and unsure. And then there's the language aspect. We grew up in a time I grew up here in a time where everything was happening in the US around the Arabs and the stereotyping of what Arabs are and terrorism and all that crap. And it was almost like uncool to speak Arabic. And it was a very present thing. And so in school. And so what I had to learn is, like, I leaned into learning English a lot more, and I lost connection with my Arabic language. And you see that very present in today's society, where Arabic isn't as spoken here as English is. But then also Arabic has lost its relationship with its own language, where now we are Englishifying Arabic, and we have a sub-language where we use certain, like, numbers to describe certain Arabic, maybe you've seen it, to describe certain Arabic sounds. And so it's this relationship with language was also a different layer to our identity, because obviously language is a very powerful way of expressing who we are. And then obviously the last one was a lack of belonging. And this was also layered from all of these things, but then it's also like you come into this country and there's so many cultures that you don't really know how to identify with them, and so you develop this, like, lack of belonging, which really starts to kind of affect how you also engage in relationships and in friendships, etc. So while I was dealing with all this and growing up with all of this, I struggled a bit I struggled in high school and in primary school, but really where I came to my power, where I came to my strength, was in university. And I decided to start a fresh page. And in the very beginning, I studied film production and storytelling, but then I moved into architecture, and I decided to fully focus on my education. And thank God, like, I dove so deep into it that I ended up graduating as valedictorian of my batch. So I came in as first place in my batch, and this was a really life-changing moment for me, because it resembled a moment of higher hope. Like, it gave me hope for the future that I can create. And I just wanted to share.
Place voted by the jury goes to
moment really that when I watch it, it reconnects me with this feeling of like inner expansion. Like I feel proud of myself, I feel expanded, I feel in my energy. And so what I wanted to do, and I want us to get more familiar with the vibration of our emotions because we're going to dive deeper into that, is I want us to take a few seconds to arrive, but also to reflect and tap in on a moment, each of you individually, on a moment of higher hope for you. And so if you may, and if you may join me, I want us to close our eyes for a few seconds. And before wanting to change anything, just arriving in our posture, we have a tendency, because it's such a fast-paced culture here, that we don't arrive before we engage. Just noticing the sounds around us, tapping into the silence. And I want us to take one deep inhale through the nose, holding at the top, and out through the mouth. And I want us to trace back in our memory and reflect on a moment where we were so proud of ourselves, on a moment of hope for ourselves. Where does your memory take you? Where does your consciousness take you? And maybe you found the memory where you really felt hopeful about your future and really proud of yourself and just felt really good in that point in time. And I want you to allow the smile and the pride and the emotions that you feel from that memory to spread all over your body and to feel it across your cells. To expand that sort of energy and that memory, the feelings of that memory. And I hope you found that, and just noticing that you can use this relationship you have with memories to really shift your energetic presence. What are the qualities? What do you remember from this memory? Who was around you? How did you celebrate it? Beautiful. Lovely. And when you're ready, when you feel complete, you can slowly open your eyes and come back to us. Just by noticing this, just by even allowing a moment of stillness and allowing a moment of presence, you can already feel that there's an energetic shift between us, because we all do share energy here. We're all sharing each other's presence. And so feeling this energy of this sense of pride within, expanding it from the heart, feeling it around your aura or your energetic field or your electromagnetic field. All of this stuff goes by many names, whether it's spirituality or science. And then I want to speak about a moment where, after this graduating moment, I had joined a design firm called Gensler, and it was a leading architecture design firm, and I really felt very positive about where my life was going. And then I had a moment where, just like the waves and the ebbs of flow of life, where you have highs and you have lows, I had a true moment of despair. I took my first trip to Zanzibar with my best friend, who unfortunately has now passed, but we traveled to Zanzibar, and within like 3 days of being there, I got into an accident, a snorkeling accident, and I ended up so powerful in influencing how you feel. They're instructions, essentially. When you think a thought, it sends a certain kind of, it creates an electromagnetic field where it sends emotions to your body. So when something is frustrating you in your life, when something is frustrating you in your life, for example, you believe, if you have a partner, you have a child or whatever, let's give examples. You believe someone shouldn't be doing something, someone shouldn't be treating me badly, someone shouldn't be ghosting me, someone shouldn't be leaving the toilet open, whatever it is that we have in our thoughts, you need to start asking yourself, is it true? It's a very strange question. Like, is it true that someone shouldn't be doing this? That's the first question you want to feel, and then sit with that. How does it feel to like question your thoughts? The second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? Like, let's say, oh no, it's true. He should have texted me back last night, or she should have sent this. You have to ask yourself, do I absolutely know that it's true? And the third question is really where it gets powerful. And you have to ask yourself, how do I react when I believe this? How do you react when you believe this? What's the emotional response? I get frustrated, I feel angry, I feel annoyed. And just bring awareness to that. And the fourth question is, who would I be without this thought? How do I feel without allowing myself to think this thought? Because usually if you let it go, you're gonna go back to feeling fine. Like, oh, without believing that someone should have texted me back, hypothetically, I feel good again and I feel fine. And so really you wanna start questioning the thoughts, because your thoughts are what lead to your suffering. It's your brain that will make you suffer. But in reality, there's nothing that is causing you suffering. It's simply the way that you think about it. Because Shakespeare even says there is nothing good or bad, nothing right or wrong. It is simply thought that makes it so. It's your perception and your projection onto the reality that will affect how you feel. And so we really want to develop mindfulness around our thoughts. And one of the last things that I want to teach you guys about, which is super important for how you want to develop, is a connection with your future self. Now, there's a modality in the energy healing world and in the wellness world known as timeline therapy. I would recommend everyone to explore that. Timeline therapy is realizing that there is a relationship between your inner child, your younger self, and your future self. And that we all live on this scale. And what we do in healing is, whenever there is a subconscious belief that is so heavy and dark, we need to go back in time to the inner child, and we need to explore, and this is called core level beliefs. We need to explore, when was the experience that I had that generated this belief or created this reality? Because everything goes back to childhood. So you can go back, but what people tend to forget is that you can actually go forward as well. And in my meditations and in my energy healing circles, a lot of my work is focused on this. It's because you need to create an idea and a vision of what your future life looks like, feels like, how you dress, how you talk, how you walk, how you live, and become so familiar with how that feels that you start to live it in your body. You start to breathe it in. And the more that you live in that energy of success, of confidence, of freedom, of inner power, of faith, etc., the more that you live in that energy, the more that your life will start to change. Because if you keep living in the in the present, what is the present? The present is a replay of the past. We think around 70,000 thoughts per day. 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts that you had yesterday. It's the same thoughts that you're repeating again and again. And so you're actually practicing your past when you're living in the present. You're using the same habits, the same routines. What we need to do is we need to shift on the timeline and start to practice our future. And so practicing your future emotions is actually what shifts your energetic vibration and eventually your reality. Other things that we want to learn within energy healing is actually using visualization. And we speak about in energy about, like, if you want to cleanse your energy field, your aura, or in science we call it the electromagnetic field. In science we have recorded that the heart actually has a 2-meter wide sphere electromagnetic field. That's why when you meet someone, actually the first thing that you come to know is not necessarily what you see or what you smell or the senses, it's how you feel about them. If someone walks into the room, you can already feel difference. Someone gets into your space, you can already feel a bit of a different energy. So this is why this is key. You want to start cleansing your field and also witnessing like a waterfall of light, for example, washing away your emotions, but then furthermore cleansing your auric field from all the energy that you come around. And you do this by like sealing your energy field, cleansing it, imagine washing it, such as your thoughts. You can visualize going into your mind and washing away your specific thoughts that are bad or making you feel like not so great. Imagine cleansing it, and you'll actually feel an incredible difference. So this is energy work that I think everyone should get into. We're moving in a time where it's like we're practicing our past, because in the past there used to be a lot more energy work, and there's a time where that was embedded within our culture. We had shamans and guides and hermits, and the doctors were actually healers, and so slowly we're going back into that, very, very slowly. But I really recommend that you guys dive into that. Beautiful. And so thank you so much for attending today and giving me your presence. We're going to be ending with a meditation for Kursu, or for hope, essentially. And in this meditation, we're going to be cleaning and cleansing our space, allowing our heart to expand. And then we're going to be sending a prayer to a lot of the world, but also specifically to Iran and what's going on, especially that this was chosen by the Tehran chapter, and we're really reflecting on a Persian sentiment and a Farsi word. So if you are with me, and if you'd like, I'd love for you to find a comfortable position that you're in. And just moving your body slowly, just getting more familiar with the bones, the muscles. And once again, I want us to arrive in our posture. Notice our thoughts. Notice the quality of our thoughts this morning, the quality of our breath. And I want us to take a deep breath in through the nose, holding at the top, and a sigh out the mouth. Beautiful. Let it out from the mouth. Allow yourself this full experience. We're going to do 2 more breaths this way. In through the nose, deep long inhale, holding at the top, and sighing out the mouth. 1 more breath this way. In through the nose, holding at the top. And I want you to start to tighten your body, tighten your fists, your back, your neck, just feeling this tightening in your body, like tightening all of your muscles as much as you can. And sighing out the mouth. And I want you to just start allowing whatever sounds, whatever thoughts, whatever experience that you may be feeling, sensing, imagining, accepting all of it, and just allowing it to be part of the present moment. And begin breathing in cycles. I want us to breathe deep, long, slow inhales and exhales through our nose, and out through our nose. This is a continuous breath. 4 to 5 seconds inhales and 4 to 5 seconds of exhales. This is a very powerful breath to regulate your nervous system. And breathing in cycles, continue to make contact with your breath. Noticing the expansion in your lungs as you breathe in and out. And using your awareness, using your imagination, I want you to start releasing tension in your body. Using your breath and your imagination, releasing tension in your feet, your legs, releasing any stress,